One student told me, you always felt like that when you're home or you're in your driveway, you're safe. I don't feel that way anymore.
There was not one single person who was not absolutely shocked.
Whatever happens now, I mean, life will never be the same for us.
They want to know who would or could do something like this.
Everyone was terrified.
I want justice. That's what I want.
Shepherdsville, Kentucky is in Bullitt County, Kentucky, which is right near Louisville. The Salt River that runs through there, there's a lot of wooded area. It is a very rural area.
Shepherdsville's a safe place to live. It's a pleasant, friendly community, by and large. I've been here for 47 years.
It has the best of both worlds. It had the proximity to the large metro area so that people could enjoy work there and enjoy amenities. But at the end of the day, they went home to a small community where everybody kind of knew each other and looked out for each other. We had a call that came into the newsroom, a family member calling to let us know that their teenager is missing, and I would say 99% of the time, those are runaway cases.
Whatever the reason she's gone, whether she ran away or was taken away, I just hope she comes home.
Jessica Dishon was a 17-year-old young lady who lived in the Shepherdsville community. She was, by all accounts, a person who was very involved in her church, very involved in her senior class.
She's really sweet. She's funny. She would do anything for anybody.
She had a very close family, her mom Edna and her father Mike, and she had 2 younger brothers and was known and well-liked there in that community. But at the time, that family member provided some details to my colleague on the assignment desk that were disturbing. The day that Jessica disappeared, her car was found in the driveway, and many of Jessica's personal belongings were still inside that vehicle. Her purse, her phone, and one of her shoes.
Police believe she was leaving for school. Her parents and brothers were already gone.
When I talked to a detective there that I had worked with on cases before, he told me off the record that the information that I had heard was correct and that it was concerning, and that's when we headed to Bullitt County. We started talking to people in the community, talking with some family members, and everyone was terrified.
I can't imagine what she's feeling, the not knowing, the knowing, which is worse. We all have hope that she'll come home.
There were people who volunteered to go out and search, and they walked daily the community, looking for her, looking for any sign of her.
The longer it goes on, the more concerned I become. I'm hoping that she'll turn up real soon.
It was just a thing that caught the attention of the media and then the public, and it soon developed a life of its own.
I think somebody took her.
Why would somebody do that, though? Why do you think?
It's a small town. People were gossiping that this might have been somebody who lived close to them or someone who knew the family.
I'm never going to give up hope. Hope and prayer right now is the only thing that's keeping me going.
The Salt River bottoms are an area where the Salt River bottoms out, and it is a very marshy, muddy, murky area.
It's really pretty remote. You gotta want to get there to get there.
A friend of the family was out doing her own search. She'd had a wanted poster and she was driving about, and she came up on the body off the side of a road.
We at first thought, well, is it really her? But then when her aunts come by and take her pictures down from my mom's place of employment, says they found my niece's body, There's no doubt in our mind.
The coroner did report that she had been beaten and strangled and that she had been dead for quite some time. What was eerie about this is I had been out with that search party for several days. Just a day or two before her body was found, we had been in that exact same area and there was no sign of her body.
It'd been real hard. You know, without my friends, my neighbors, I couldn't have done nothing. You know, it was up to them.
To see the look on her parents' faces when they knew that their daughter's body had been found, it's something that you will remember always.
I go in the mornings and I kiss her picture frame and I say, "Good morning, Jessica." And then when I go to bed at night, I kiss her and say, "Good night, Jessica."
The community really did rally around the Dishin family. People were devastated.
Somebody that's not in the right state of mind. Them do anything to hurt anybody. I just don't understand.
The strangulation was, police felt, a very personal attack, and then her body being moved. Investigators told me at the time that they felt like it was someone who felt badly and that knew her family and that wanted to move her body so that it would be found.
Whoever done this didn't have no rights to do this. You know, and I hope when they catch him, I hope they hang him.
Where the Dishins lived, there weren't a whole lot of neighbors, but there was a farm that abutted the Dishin property. And there was a business there that belonged to the Brooks family. There were brothers in that family, and one of those was David Bucky Brooks.
Bucky and Tommy Brooks were hauled off to jail, charged with harassment and stalking.
My father-in-law had represented the Brooks family for legal needs over the years. Nothing that I recall that was particularly serious or extreme.
The Dishin family testified in court and to police that they were receiving harassing phone calls from these two members of the Brooks family.
If you have to travel down a public road that they may reside on, that means live on, you're to look the other way. You're not even to glance toward their homes. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am.
The things that we've already had to go through and to deal with, and then to have to put up with this, you know, it's just not fair.
Bucky was running this water delivery business that put him around the scene of the disappearance. The family came and asked me to help as he was under suspicion.
This is video of a cadaver dog named Donna and her search of the Brooks' farm just after the body of Jessica Dishin was discovered. On the tape, the dog seems to alert to smells of decomposition, first on a couch with a pair of gloves, then on a burn pile.
Investigators moved pretty quickly from who did it to he did it, now let's make the case. There were divisions within the community where the Dishins had public support, the Brooks family had public support.
Everybody's either related to someone or they know everyone, you know, and been friends for years. And it's just a sad thing to happen, it really is.
We hope they're getting close and soon they'll have someone behind bars.
1 year after her death, a memorial service is being held for Jessica Dishin.
It was hard, you know, when you got sat there, you know, think about your daughter. You know, we miss her very much.
Oh, they've taken my whole heart away.
Prosecutors made their move and arrested David Bucky Brooks in connection with Jessica's death.
Count 2 charges the offense of kidnapping, also a capital offense.
There was not an overwhelming sigh of relief in the community that this case has been solved and we can all move forward and go about our lives. It was a very divided community.
She got in her car to head to school. She was beaten and strangled, her body left in the woods.
A Bullitt County grand jury indicted Bucky Brooks on murder charges in connection with the death of teenager Jessica Dishon.
This is video of a cadaver dog named Donna and her search of the Brooks' farm just after the body of Jessica Dishon was discovered.
Looks like the digging for something.
Only thing, I just hope they got the right person, but I'm wondering if they got enough evidence to convict them. You know, an indictment don't mean they're guilty.
So Bucky Brooks was married to a woman named Irene Brooks. She was so committed to the fact that he was innocent that she would walk to jail twice a week to visit him, 10 miles one way and 10 miles back home.
I hope they do find the poor girl's killer. I don't think she should have died like she did, but then again, they shouldn't accuse an innocent man of something that he did not do.
In one final portion of Bucky Brooks' interview with federal agents, he was asked, quote, what would he say if Jessica Dishon's body was found and his fingerprints were on her body? Brooks responded, quote, if you find my fingerprints, I'll have to admit it.
His attorney started floating another theory that there might be someone else involved.
Last week, attorneys on both sides met with the judge and decided to put off Brooks' trial indefinitely, all because of a misplaced videotape. On the videotape, a friend of Dishon's talks about a party Dishon attended the night before she was kidnapped. The friend says two men in a black Camaro were with Dishon, and Dishon's brothers saw a car matching that description around their house the morning their sister vanished.
The friend said that he saw them, and one of them had scratches on his face and the other one had scratches on his arms, very early in the morning the next day.
That cast, in our view, considerable doubt that Bucky had any involvement in Jessica's disappearance. And some of it was disputed.
So it later became known that a young man named Jason Dunford had been driving that black Camaro and knew Jessica Dishon.
You know, I have done wrong things in my life, but murder is not nothing. I've never done nothing like that.
There was no scratches on his face at all. He was cleared. And that's why I don't understand why now they're trying to infer that he had anything to do with it.
Mike Dishon says he knows about the two men in the Camaro and is still convinced of Bucky Brooks' guilt.
I think Bucky did it. There's no doubt in my mind he didn't do it.
Bucky had some intellectual and verbal impairment, and sometimes he just didn't get things the way other people might.
There's a statute in Kentucky that prohibits the state from executing an individual if the individual has an IQ of 70 or below. He came through with an IQ of a 69.
The feeling of the community and certainly reporters who were covering the case is, I don't know how strong this case is for prosecutors going into this trial.
The dog search was important for prosecutors who have only circumstantial evidence to try their case. When the dog hit on the areas, investigators assumed the smell of decomposing human flesh was present, but that assumption was wrong.
So they went into the trial of David Bucky Brooks. The case was several days in, and that is when a detective from the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office got on the witness stand.
That's what the FBI had told us. He was the last one seen her alive.
And that was the reason?
He failed a polygraph, I think they issued to him.
Check.
Polygraph tests are not admissible, shouldn't be, weren't.
The judge immediately declared a mistrial. After that trial was dismissed, the jurors said that they were going to vote to not convict David Bucky Brooks.
If he did it, they should have found something that linked him to it.
I mean, when is it a crime to be mentally challenged in the state of Kentucky?
He was relieved, but he was far from gloating.
Well, I'd tell them I was sorry for their daughter's death and try to remain friends with them.
But you'd want them to understand that you didn't have anything to do with it.
Yes, ma'am. I tried to make them understand it, but they probably wouldn't.
He was sympathetic with their loss. Obviously, they didn't see it the same way.
We're asking this court to dismiss the charges against David Brooks without prejudice.
There were a significant number of folks that still thought Bucky had had some involvement some way.
His life was never the same. And it was the same for Jason Dunford. So there was just so much collateral damage to so many people down the line.
His father says after his name was brought up in the Jessica Dishon investigation, his life was never the same.
He said, Dad, I can't find a job. They won't hire me. They, because his name was drugged all over Louisville and everywhere else.
Before anything could kind of be concluded, Jason Dunford passed away. But when we talked to investigators, they made it very clear that they did not think Jason Dunford had anything to do with Jessica Dishon's disappearance.
Nearly a decade of their lives compiled in a box. Unlike their daughter's case, it's routinely reopened.
We wake up thinking about it, we go to bed thinking about it.
Edna and Mike Dishon are now ready to turn their casework over to a new set of eyes.
It's tough. I think everybody understands there were some mistakes made in the original investigation, and how much of that evidence he'll be able to use, I don't know.
There was a lot going on behind the scenes that the public did not know about.
Now, after 14 years, Bullitt County authorities believe they finally have the man responsible.
And once the public did find out who was arrested, there was not one single person who was not absolutely shocked.
Now, after 14 years, Bullitt County authorities believe they finally have the man responsible. 55-year-old Stanley Dishon has been indicted for kidnapping and murder.
Jessica was his niece. There was not one single person who was not absolutely shocked.
Stanley Dishon has been behind bars since 2005 on a separate case.
He's also facing new charges of rape, sexual abuse, and sodomy dating back to 1982.
Major relief for me. I mean, just to see something from that long ago.
Two confidential informants said that Stanley Dishon had admitted to them that he killed his niece because he was molesting her.
He didn't mean to do it, and is jealous. That he kind of felt like he had something with her. And I said, well, that was your niece. He said, yeah, well, that was more than that.
Several witnesses gave detectives intimate criminal knowledge never released to the public, including evidence that states Stanley used a scarf to strangle Jessica and that he kept one of her shoes.
Stanley, we have information that you've told people that you're responsible for this.
I didn't tell them right now.
Yeah, you have.
Those two confidential informants said she was dating a young man. He feared she was going to tell that young man about the ongoing abuse that he was subjecting her to.
She was going to tell on him.
Oh, no.
The prosecution's main case really rested on the information provided by those two informants and the charges that had been previously brought against Stanley Dishon. They felt like they could prove a pattern that Stanley Dishon had been abusive to Jessica Dishon.
Stanley Dishon in court today pled guilty to the manslaughter of his 17-year-old niece Jessica Dishon in 1999.
Dishon also pleaded guilty to unrelated charges of sex abuse and rape involving 3 other victims.
He entered what is called an offered plea.
An offered plea is legally a plea that I will take the deal, but I want to maintain that I didn't do the thing to which you are asking me to plead guilty.
Well, it took about 17 years of my life away from me. when he killed my daughter. And I said from the day one, when the man was caught that killed my daughter, I would see him hanged. And that's what I meant.
Jessica Dishon's uncle was given a 20-year sentence for manslaughter and other sex crimes.
People just felt like, thank God this is finally over, and this family and this community can try to be at peace.
I used to look at Jessica and watch after her, and now she's watching after us.
Hopefully, there is now some closure with conviction, offered plea or not, but it certainly had huge impact on everybody involved from all sides.
There were at least 3 families who will never be the same. Bucky Brooks has recently passed away.
I miss seeing him. I'm sorry he passed. That followed him all the way till his death. It's hard to put the past behind you once the bell's rung.
This case is a tragedy for so many. Shepherdsville was a very small, sheltered community. It's a place where everybody knew each other. And the fact that this could happen in their community and could happen at the hands of someone that they knew, it affected the fabric of that community from that day forward.